In this video, we're looking at the quadratic formula. So the quadratic formula is a formula for solving quadratic equations. And another thing you might need to know is what a coefficient is. Now remember, the number in front of a variable, such as 7x, has a coefficient of 7. So it's the number out the front of a pronumeral, a variable, letter, whatever it is. Now, this formula is used to solve quadratics in the form of ax squared plus bx plus c equals 0. And we use the coefficients a, b, and c. Now, the quadratic formula for the solution is on the bottom there. You can see x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Now, the good thing about the quadratic formula is if you ever forget your how to factorize something or the tricks on how to factorize quadratics, the formula will always help you find the solution if you remember it. It works for all forms of quadratics. Unlike different methods for solving different types of quadratics, this works for all of them. Now, how you work it is, obviously, if you have ax squared there, let's say we have the quadratic here, 2x plus 4x plus 8. My a would be 2, b would be 4, c would be 8, and we just substitute those into the formula and then use a calculator. Now, note, the symbol plus or minus means that there are two solutions and you have to do the formula twice, one with a plus and the second time with a minus. Now, if you're putting it in the calculator, don't delete it and re-enter everything again once you get one of them. Let's say you do the plus first. Use your arrow keys on your calculator to go back and just change the minus. You don't have to re-enter everything. You can if you want, but you don't have to if you want to save some time. So we're going to look at the first problem here. We have x squared plus 3x minus 5. So what I want to do first is I want to write underneath it a, b, c. Now I can write what a is. So I know a is going to be 1 because there's nothing at the front of the x squared. There's only one of them. So a equals 1, b equals 3, and c equals negative 5. It's important that you remember the signs, all right? The signs are included in this. If it's a negative in front, like the minus 5 there, put it as minus 5, all right? Now, it's a good idea to write down your formula. So x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. All right. Now what I do is I can substitute my values in. So I get minus 3 plus or minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5. Remember the negative, because if you don't put the negative in or if you make a mistake, your calculator can't solve it. It'll come up with math error. Now that's also key. If it comes up with a math error, double check that you've checked all your signs. And 2 times 1. Now, essentially, I'm going to write it out once, but I'm not going to do it after this. We need to solve this one. 4 times 1 times negative 5 all over 2 times 1. But we also need to solve over here minus 3 minus the square root of 3 squared minus 4 times 1 times negative 5 all over 2 times 1. You don't need to write this step out here. I'm just doing it to show you that we need to do it twice. Now at this point you can just put in the calculator. So x is gonna, oh, not blue, let's go back to the right color. X equals, for the plus one, we get 1.19 if I round it. And if we do the minus, I get minus 4.19. Alright, so that's it for 2 decimal places. Now if I go down here, it's wanting it in third form, but we do the exact same thing. A, B, C, A equals 5, B equals negative 9, C equals negative 3. Write your formula. So x equals minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2 times a. Let's substitute in our values. So we get negative 9 plus or minus the square root of negative 9 squared minus 4 times 5 times negative 3 all over 2 times 5. Now, because we want it as a third, what I want to do is solve what's inside here first. So this is what we're solving. So put that in your calculator first. So we get 9, because these two here essentially cancel out. 9 plus or minus the square root of 141 over 2 times 5. I can actually change that to 10, and that's it as third form. We can leave it like that, all right? And you can even leave the plus or minus there because it's showing that there's a plus and a minus, so that's fine. So here we're going to do another one for 2 decimal places. Start A, B, C. So A equals 2, B equals -7, C equals 2. X is going to equal minus b plus or minus the square root of b squared minus 4ac over 2a. Now you really want to write the formula down all the time so you start to memorize it and be able to just recite it whenever you need it. So minus 7 plus or minus the square root of -7 squared minus 4 times 2 times 2 all over 2 times 2. So for the first one, if we use a plus, we get 3.19 if I round up, and if we use the minus, I get 0.31. Okay? Now again, the formula is very important. Recapping, on your screen you can see the formula. Remember that plus or minus means you have to do it twice. Now again, the key important thing to get out of this is if you ever get stuck with a quadratic and you're in a moment, you can't remember how to factorize, you don't remember the tricks, you don't remember anything, you can always fall back on this formula to solve a quadratic for you to get your x solutions. This works all the time, 100% of the time. It is your foundation. It's good to learn this, and if you can find quicker ways to do it later using different methods, learn those as well. But if you ever in the heat of a moment in the test or an exam and you're just mind blanking on everything with a quadratic, you can fall back on this and know you will get the answers.